Hello and welcome to the Declassified Cheat Codes podcast, your source for the newest news in gaming. And I'm your host, Josiah.
And I'm Hillhouse.
And we're about to bring it.
We're going to bring it hard, man.
Oof. We talked, I'm getting kind of mixed up. These last couple of weeks have been really blurry in how much news we've covered and how little time. But I remember one of these weeks we were talking about Destiny 2. And, man, I'm coming right off into the news. I'm sorry. How are you doing?
It's good. No, dude, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm totally into what you're saying, man. I was listening to you talking about Destiny 2 and I perked up and I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on.
I don't know why.
Because I know it just became free to play,
today.
right? It just became free to play and they said it was going to be cross play, correct?
It's not free to play yet. I forget the date. They announced the date that it's going to be free to play. Everything minus the expansions, obviously. And the thing is, they talked about crossplay, but they had to retract those statements because apparently what they announced was confusing. And what they meant was that you could access your same Guardian across different platforms. They corrected what they said. Basically, they retracted and said that it's not going to be crossplay. It's just your account is connected. So a lot of people are a little ticked off about that because, I don't know, it was just confusing the original announcement.
So they retracted it?
Yeah, they just cleared it up. They didn't. I don't think they ever actually said there was.
You just pissed off hundreds and maybe thousands of Destiny 2 players, you know, when they did that. I mean, because everyone was under the assumption that it was going to be crossplay.
Yeah, and some people were under the assumption that it was going to be half console and then the other half would be PC and maybe Stadia, because there's this idea that Stadia could be crossed with PC just because Stadia is connected to some Linux computer somewheres, you know.
But then you look at the fact that you have Dauntless. Okay, Dauntless is cross-platform with PS4, Xbox or PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. So how are they doing it? I mean, if in my opinion, Destiny really doesn't. The makers of Destiny, whoever that may be, I can't even remember right now.
Bungie.
I mean, there really isn't any excuse to not offer it. It should be at this point, it really should be the mainstream, because we're talking about a bunch of technological companies that here's one small company that introduced Fortnite that became huge all of a sudden. And maybe it is because they got, billions of dollars to spend on it in order to make it happen. But I just don't understand why all these companies don't have crossplay already.
Yeah,
I don't get it. It should be easy for them to do. Maybe there's something that's difficult. I know
it's easier to launch a game crossplay because if you already have it all divided, connecting them, a lot of companies say that takes a lot more work than
maybe
if
that's
they
what it is then.
Launched.
Okay, maybe that's what it is.
I could be wrong, though. That's just what a lot of developers have said in response to people asking if their games could go crossplay.
Okay.
They'll say something like, well, maybe the sequel will do that. They always kind of act like it's not a credible possibility. But
it could be some sort of coding they have to add. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it could be. But, I mean, Destiny 2 should be fine.
Yeah.
Especially other games that have done crossplay. I do know that PlayStation has some issues with the fact that they've been so closed off that when they open up gates, basically, their save data doesn't translate well, because they recently just added the feature to finally change your username on PlayStation. And they had to put a disclaimer out that said that a bunch of older games may never have your new name attached to it because those games, they weren't designed in the background to support name changes. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, Xbox has had it so long that they've just had that as a groundwork, but PlayStation can't destroy the foundation of their system to just do a feature that everybody wants. Instead, when they add the feature, they have to basically say that, hey, if you want to change your name, all future games will probably be fine, but the stuff that's old save files is probably still going to have your ass sucker 69 or whatever you chose when you were 13.
Exactly.
Yeah, now you're trying to be a professional streamer and you want to just change your username, but if you do go back and stream like Uncharted 2 or something, it may still say,
exactly,
ass sucker 69.
Ass sucker 69. Yep, you got what you deserve, buddy. You got what you deserve.
Speaking of ass suckers, Fallout 76, their canvas their canvas bags that they promised to people over 8 months ago, maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 months. They are finally in. Do you remember the whole bag situation?
Yeah, where they were supposed to be canvas and
they were vinyl.
They gave people cheap ass fucking windbreaker material.
Yeah, like nylon ones or something.
Yeah.
And then when they responded, Bethesda responded and was like, oh, we're so sorry. We'll correct this. And they showed off that they were going to make the canvas bags. And then all the people that had gotten that big package were sent an email that said something crazy like expected June of 2019 or something. And this was in like December. And the joke that everyone was making on the rounds when they announced that was that they were joking that Fallout 76 would absolutely have no player base by the time you would get your canvas bag.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't expect it to. I mean, there are 4 or 5 people that still play it.
What's funny is when you find the people that do still play it, they like freaking love it.
Yeah,
And
they do. They really do. I don't get it.
I don't know if they're just being hipsters and they just want to like it because everybody hates it. But the fact of the matter is there's just not enough content in the game, and it was quickly released, and there was bugs on launch, and within 2 months there was that room discovered, which was the developer room, which allowed everyone to go in it and get the most expensive weapons in a game that allows currency in it.
Fallout 76 is not synonymous with content. I'm sorry. I played the game, and then I even gave it a second shot. And it was, what do they say in Europe? Shite. That's what it was. 100%
It really needs to be
unadulterated, full of corn shite.
It needs to be free to play, and they need to disable in-game purchases.
Yes.
Because if there's a way to get around basically firewalls and find weapons to sell to people, you can't allow in-game purchases in a game that's broken like that. So the only hope for Fallout 76 is if it went free to play. And then on top of that, it would have to not have every other free to play format of in-game purchases. It would have to be like a DLC attraction, something that's like a mission or something, or content. It could just be content. But no, that's like all that was in Fallout 76 this week. Just randomly, the bags finally came in. That's just I mean, I can't imagine, like, let's say you were not a huge fanboy and you were just hoping the game was going to be a decent game, but you also had a couple $100 laying around, so you got the big package. And then the game was disappointing, so you actually probably forgot about it. And then randomly 6 months later, this canvas bag shows up on your porch and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Exactly.
But yeah,
you'll see the Fallout 76 logo
hopefully,
and just be like, oh, okay, I got something to put shit in. And it'll go in the back of your closet full of old shoes and hats that nobody wears anymore.
the shoes that you can't fit your feet in anymore.
Exactly. The ones where the insoles have holes in them.
Yes.
And they're so full of sweat that they still smell years later. So it'll be basically an old gym bag that you don't even take to the gym because you still don't want anybody to know that you play Fallout 76.
The shoes that they have,
I'm not
like
apologizing
4
for it either.
different layers gone
Send me
through.
the
It
hate
has like
mail.
4 different colors.
Send me the hate mail. I'm not apologizing.
You'd be
The game
lucky if
sucks.
half of the 5 people that played the game got your mailing
That's
address.
true. I'll probably get 1 email. This is from all of us.
I did hear a joke about Fallout 76 when this canvas bag thing came out that they were actually getting delivered. Somebody did say something about the fact that this may be the last time you see them in the news. Like, this may be the last time we hear about Fallout 76.
It may be.
Finally.
Yeah, until it goes free to play.
Yeah, that's the only way it could stay relevant, you know?
And that'll be just a blurb somewhere in some fucking news channel. It won't even matter. I mean, I'm sorry. You know, I know there are some people that love the game, and I gave it 2 freaking chances, man. I mean, good chances too, where I actually played it. But dude, it sucks so hard, man. The older
How is
Fallout
it not
is
free
great.
to play?
I know, exactly.
I don't
mean,
understand.
It's like,
But the
use
thing
your
is, not
brain.
even free to play. How is it not included in PlayStation Now or Game
Yes.
Pass?
Yeah.
Why
that's-
isn't it at that level?
Because Xbox probably tried, man, and nobody downloaded it.
It's been in the stores secretly for 2 months and no one's noticed.
They secretly already downloaded it on everybody's Xbox. They downloaded it automatically because they know you wouldn't.
They did it like U2's pre-installed album on iPhone.
Exactly. Oh
My
God.
Because, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to keep talking about Fallout 76, but I doubt anyone's buying them off of shelves in stores.
They're really
Who
not.
would?
Dude. They're really not, man. I mean, most stores are probably going to end up having to mark it down, or they're going to send it back to the vendor eventually. It's just not a game that a lot of people are buying. I mean, once they did buy it, they kept it, and the ones that are playing it are the ones that kept it. I mean, you're talking to somebody who uninstalled it twice, bro. It's, I mean,
That's
how
a
many
good
more
3 hours of
times?
your life taken away.
Exactly. I'll never get that time back. It wasn't enjoyable. I mean, I even don't like Destiny 2, but I enjoyed Destiny 2 better than Fallout 76.
Yeah.
I enjoy going on to Overwatch and getting my ass kicked in every single game and not getting a single win more than I do playing Fallout 76. It just sucked that hard.
It's just too open. It's too
really
open and
is.
too empty.
You need to
And-
fill it up with a lot more NPCs and a lot more content if you want people to enjoy it. It just, there's nothing to do.
Yeah, because if you want to play a Fallout game, just play Fallout 4, Fallout 3.
Yes, go to Fallout 4, man. That was way more fun.
Yeah, because you could turn a corner and there was something there, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's move on. The other
Let's move
small bit of news that came up was Animal Crossing
Yes.
announced that it was not going to have cloud saves. And now this may not seem like a big deal, but what it means is that it's only going to be saved to your hardware, your save game. And this is a game about farming and building and waiting. So it's kind of like one of those games if you haven't played an Animal Crossing before. And they're doing this so that people can't travel through time on the game, so that you can't fake the clock and stuff and then
okay.
save it to the cloud. The other thing that they could do if they don't, the thing is, if they do it right, it shouldn't be a problem, cloud saves. But I'm sure they're also concerned about copying items, because if you're allowed to go to other people's islands on the game, and like, let's say you give them an item and then they receive the item and then you immediately shut off your console and then you turn your console back on and your item is still on your island, then you're producing more of that item, and basically you'd be farming money out of it, you know?
So you're basically, what they're doing is they're finding a way around things, and it's basically a cheat. It's a hack.
Right. They're trying to block cheating of the game by not allowing cloud saves. But there's a lot of points against this theory because, like, number one, there's always been ways to cheat in
Yes. And they're always going to find
not
another
just any
way.
game, but in specifically Animal Crossing, has always been ways to cheat. Even on the GameCube, people knew how to change the clock of the GameCube because it had
Oh,
a
wow.
clock, and all you did was you changed the time, and then you rebooted the game. So it thought a bunch of time had passed. So, like, there's always been ways to cheat at Animal Crossing. So this would be something new. But on the
Yeah.
other side of the coin is the fact that it's Animal Crossing, and who cares? It's not a competitive game, you know?
Exactly. It's not like you're winning anything by beating somebody at growing your friggin' herd bigger or whatever you do, you know?
Yeah, it would be just pure jealousy of someone you personally knew. The only thing that would be kind of cancer.
Which never happens in gaming.
Right. That never happens.
Not at all.
The only thing that could be bad is if their game releases and it's very easy to cheat at if you go through a couple of steps, and then 100% of the people streaming the game are showing people how to do it, thus then breaking the game for everyone. That would be kind of annoying, because back in the GameCube era, you know, YouTube wasn't a thing, so you didn't really have to worry about that. Also, your GameCube didn't connect to the internet because they never added that. But yeah, so on one side I can see how they want to stop cheating in the game, but on the other side it is just Animal Crossing. But I also have to agree with the fact of it would be pretty disappointing to pay $60 for a game, come home, play it all day for 2 days nonstop, and there are people online that are like miles and leaps and years ahead of you because they're cheating the system. You know?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of annoying, you know, because you felt like you were trying to experience something for the first time, and then you were behind everyone, you know. So that's just a little bit annoying. I don't know where I exactly stand on it. I think I stand with cloud saves, because here's the thing. If you ever just accidentally run out of battery power on your Switch in handheld mode, then you didn't save, and it's not going to remember where it is. If you for some reason can't get back into... No. If for some reason you break your handheld and you have to get a new Switch, then you don't have it backed up. It's not even linked to your account. Nowhere is your save file linked to your Nintendo account. So that is annoying. It's in a device that's unlike an Xbox, you carry it around.
Exactly.
You know?
But there should be a way to institute some sort of an anti-cheat measure, because I've been noticing not just the easy anti-cheat, but there's several other companies that are coming up, and several other these software developers that are getting on board with these gaming companies and making this anti-cheat that you have to download, you have to install it to have like either the Origins installer or the Steam installer or whatever it may be. You have to have it on there in order to use it. So there's got to be a way to use that kind of a mechanic along with the cloud saves to find out who is cheating. And you know what? You don't want them doing it? Guess what? Start taking down the IP addresses and start banning them. Give them a week's ban. Give them, whatever it is. Punish the cheaters if you don't want them doing that in your game. Or else find a way to make the game to where they can't do it. They can't change the time. They can't if they change the time, they have to open a whole new account. Something like that. Just make it more difficult. You don't want them doing it, then make it more difficult. But you need to have a way to save your game.
Yeah.
And I'm off my soapbox.
No, you're good. I think the answer is that it needs cloud saves, but at the same time, it needs to have an anti-cheat measure put in. So there needs to be something running in the background of the game that notices patterns of items coming from nothing. For like item problems, it would just have to pay attention to how many times an item appeared that was not there.
Yes.
Things like that. It would have to notice patterns, and then it would just send you like a warning first, because you have to remember, if they start banning people on Nintendo, 9-year-olds are going to be going crazy because they don't have discretion, and then their parents are going to wonder why their kid can't play the $60 game they bought. So Nintendo does have to take that other angle, knowing that they have a large, younger audience playing their consoles.
I agree. You need it. I mean, it's just, it's just like what we were saying a couple of podcasts ago when we were talking about the streaming services, how everything is going to be streaming soon and how everything is going to be crossplay. And I made a prediction that by the end of the summer 2020, pretty much every new game that comes out will be crossplay. And it's the same thing that they have to do with this. They need to have an anti-cheat on every game. I mean, you really should, because even if it's not a competitive game or a battle royale or anything like that, it doesn't make sense to allow people to, develop their own ways to cheat at a game. It doesn't make sense. So why don't you just nip it in the bud and put the anti-cheat on everything? And if they do stuff like that, then yeah, guess what? You're out of the system, buddy. You're out of the records. You're out of all that stuff. You put a little asterisk by their name if they have some sort of a record for in that game, and it just lets people know that this person cheated to get to where they are. So would you rather be known for cheating, or would you rather be known for busting your ass and beating the game? Because I could care less about cheaters. I don't want to know who they are. I want to know who the people are who actually worked hard and played the game and got to where they are. Because those are the ones that I want to learn from, that I want to be, like. I would say.
Got to be the very best,
Yeah, that should count for something. It shouldn't be, lost in the background to somebody who pays for some sort of a freaking aimbot or something and cheats their way through the game. I don't know. It's just my opinion, but to me it makes sense that they put that on all the games.
Yeah. I would probably guess spring of 2021 is where I would say, not summer of 2020, just because the new console generation should be out by then. It should be the Christmas season of 2020, and then on the next generation, then absolutely. But you may be right, just because there's not that many. I feel like multiplayer games are getting very. It's not sparse. They're just everyone's aware of a multiplayer game when it comes out.
Yes.
Like when it comes out, everyone knows whether it's crossplay or not. So at some point, it'll just be everyone that comes out you're going to assume is crossplay.
Well, isn't the new Modern
right now
Warfare?
It's like 50-50.
Isn't that new Modern Warfare supposed to be crossplay?
I wouldn't know.
Because I believe when I reported on it that it was, because it comes out October 25th. And it's supposed to be completely cross-play, and it's probably going to have the easy anti-cheat connected with it, because I believe they're associated with that company anyway. So,
okay,
yeah, I'm going to look into it and find out what these companies are doing. I'm actually going to look into the game, the software creators themselves, and see what they're using, because there's got to be a way to find out. So, yeah, I'll do some actual investigative journalism.
I did want to talk real quick about Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker saga.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in hearing about this.
Okay, so if you've played any Lego game, you may realize that when you play any other Lego game, it's basically exactly the same game. All the games have the same formula. They almost look like they have the same camera, same controls. There's little differences that make them kind of their own thing, but they are 90% the exact same game whenever you buy one. They have a formula, and the formula works.
Yeah.
Lots of people like the games. They're pretty fun to co-op. They're simple games, but they're just well-designed games. It's one of those games that WB just puts out, and it's consistently good. Just like the Arkham games. You can just guarantee that it's going to be a pretty good experience. Mm-hmm. However, the new game is showing that they look like they're trying a little harder.
Really?
And It's interesting. So it's going to have a third person over the shoulder view instead of the camera kind of sitting back.
So it's more of
instead
the action cam.
Yeah. So it's not going to look like GTA 5. It's instead going to look like Gears of War.
Ah, yes. Okay.
So it's a little bit closer to the shoulder, but still third person, which is interesting.
Yeah. I actually like that style because you can see your reticle really well. It takes a little getting used to, but it does work.
Yeah. And they were saying that there's going to be like more story in it and then more like boss fights, and it's going to be more linear slash linear story is what they said, but that the actual gameplay was going to be open world. So it sounds pretty cool. So it's going to be open world, over the shoulder, third person, and then I guess a lot of story. So it's interesting that they've already made, I don't know how many, I should have looked it up, at least 6 Lego Star Wars games.
Yes.
And there's like probably like 30 Lego games, period.
And they sell the crap out of them too.
Yeah. And they sell so many that they end up bundling them together and reselling them because they realize that you probably have forgotten about a bunch of these titles. I don't think it's as much as trying to sell you something twice as much as they realize that stores don't have the shelf space for all their games.
Exactly.
So they start bundling them together.
You're right. You're right.
But yeah, I'm excited that it's different. I didn't play the last couple of Star Wars ones. Actually, the Star Wars Lego games are some of the few Lego games I've actually played all the way through. I think I played the first 2. They're so easy. They're like things to play when you don't want to get stressed out or anything. They're just so
they're just little casual.
They're peaceful games. Yeah, they're real casual. But it sounds like this new one's going to be pretty intense. So I'm kind of excited to see what that angle's going to be on it.
I might actually, based on what you said, I might actually start playing the Lego games. I have always wanted to play them, and I'm glad that you told me that these games are basically they're cut of the same cloth, and they're just kind of repetitive, just different characters, different situations. So that's fine and dandy. And I imagine that people get a lot of enjoyment out of that, especially people that are fans of the movies or the shows, etc. But as far as this, an open world with a Lego Skywalker kind of thing, I'm totally for that. That's actually, more than likely we're going to have that in the Xbox Ultimate, or the PlayStation, whatever they have. You're going to have that. If you wanted to
try one, I believe Game Pass Ultimate has a few already in it.
Yeah, I believe it has
basically like any other
Lego
others.
Batman or something like that.
Yeah, they may even have the movie one.
Yeah.
But the writers for the games for Lego have always been really clever. So like if you're a Indiana Jones fan and you play the Indiana Jones one, they aren't just random Lego humor that's like stuff that isn't pointed towards Indiana Jones. They will actually put in humor that calls back to films and stuff. And it's really, as a viewer, you really appreciate it because you're like, okay, so the people that made this game actually cared about the franchise.
Yeah, they stay true to the franchise, which is important. Yeah.
Yeah, they do their own twist, but they've always given good homage to the franchise that they're basing it off of. It never feels like they're just squeezing cash out of something. It looks like they thought this would be a good IP to attach to the Lego name, and let's just have fun with it.
And talking from a different game, but on that same subject, I just wanted to get your take on this because I thought about this the other day, and you just reminded me of it by saying when you said staying true to the franchise itself. What would you feel about if they came out with a really good Deadpool game, but had Ryan Reynolds involved? As far as the production of it and everything else, like he was with the movie. Do you think that that's something that would go big, or do you think that's something that might fail? I'm just throwing it out there because of what you said. I think so too.
It'd be very big, but also it would be rated M and would be very It'd be very offensive, but at the same time, I guarantee you 80% of the players would be under the age of 13.
But I also think with all this other stuff that they're coming out with, and I'm sorry because this put me off on a whole nother tangent, but because of what talking about that
You're
staying
good.
true
We
to the
have
franchise.
time.
Oh yeah, I figured we did. But one of the things I was thinking of is if they did this, if they used Ryan Reynolds, if he was in charge of or at least had a big part of the say in what happened, you would be able to do, I would think, the same thing that you could do with, let's say, the Trover versus the Universe that I talked about the other last podcast, where they have you can switch it. You can switch it to the mature version or a PG version. I think that might be fun because he could say, hey,
The last
lick
Deadpool
my
game
balls, you
actually had
fucking
that.
asshole. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is if they could do that so that parents would be able to go in and, you have to, if you're going to be a gaming company and you want to sell to the parents, you got to be smart about it. Okay. You need to make it to where the parents start out the game. They have a code. They can put in the code and they can put on the mature language filter and then the child gets to play the game.
You know what's actually funny is...
I mean, I shouldn't have said that on the podcast because I could have pitched that to a million gaming companies and made some money. But here, it's free. I'm giving it to you. Okay.
So
develop it.
I'm trying to remember other games that did it, but there were games growing up that I had that had the language option where you could take the language off.
Yes.
And or it would like bleep it or something. I think maybe Brutal Legend did that.
That was
Jack
all it
Black
did is
game.
it bleeped it out. Yeah, it bleeped it.
Okay.
It didn't just remove it, but nowadays the coding is so sophisticated that it's a completely different game. So, like I was saying, instead of saying whatever, a Deadpool kind of thing, like fuck my ass, you ball licker. It might say, hey, smell my fart, you dumb sucker. Something like that. They would just change it. They have the option of doing it. They'd be smart if they did it because they would. You got to sell to the parents, man, not just the kids. You got to get the parents on board because you're talking about a whole new generation of parents who love Deadpool, but they also love their kids.
You know what's funny is the whole future. I'm sorry, not history. The whole future of Deadpool as a franchise is kind of up in the air.
Yes.
Just because Disney bought him.
Yeah, it really is, man. If they Disneyfy it, I am not going to watch another Deadpool. But that's for another episode. I mean, yeah.
And that's the thing is we don't really know what to expect from the future of it. The thing is, if they were still owned by Fox, and if Fox wasn't owned by Disney, I could see them doing that. But
they own so much.
They own so much right now. If they weren't owned by them, I could see them making that game because they made a Deadpool game. I want to say it was probably 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
And it was based on the comics. It was pretty funny. It had some pretty good jokes in it. It was very self-aware, so that was great. He was always talking to the player. The beginning of the game has fake achievements in it where there's an achievement for standing up. And it actually pops an achievement, I think, for standing up. And then he like points out the fact that like that was like nothing. And so it's really like comical in that sense. However, the one drawback that made nobody really like the game was the actual combat in the game was so repetitive and had no arc to it. You didn't modify things. You didn't build it up. It just was so freaking repetitive that people would just put it down because it got boring.
Yeah,
like
you can't
all the
have
things
just
besides
plain
the
chain
fighting.
combat. You can't have
Right.
that. Yeah. If you put
The
that
thing
much
is-
time into the story, you got to put more time into the fighting. You have to have it. Even slow games, even small games have little power-ups that give you different abilities. So you have to have that.
Yeah, and it was really good in all the cutscenes, but then the gameplay was just so subpar. It wasn't like the worst thing I've ever played. It was just not at the caliber that it made you just not feel invested anymore. And I think the first time I tried to play it, I got to an area that was so bug heavy that I kept getting stuck in walls and stuff. And I ended up just putting it down. I don't think I finished it, but I was going to say that game also had the ability to turn off language or not. So And the thing is, I was going to say that growing up, when I had a game with that option, it wasn't because my parents wouldn't let me play it if it had language. As a intelligent child that knew that I would not be able to play this game if my TV was blaring out cuss words, I would put that language filter on because I was intelligent enough to know if I'm going to play this game with the speakers on, I would need that on. So, I mean, what's funny is we think about those filters. Yeah, but we think about those filters for the parents' sake. But the thing is, it's more of a useful tool for the kids.
You have a point. You have a valid point. Yeah. I mean, kids are smart. They know how to hide this stuff nowadays. They really do.
Or their parents are more neglectful.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it's like me. I have 2 daughters. And
Welcome
I'm not trying
to the
be
declassified
preachy,
parenting contest.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to be preachy about what kids, parents should do with their kids. It's none of my business. It's up to you. If you want to let your kids listen to, some raunchy stuff on some of these raunchy games, that's up to you, man. They do hear it. They hear it on TV. They hear it in movies. I'm not saying that kids don't hear it, but as a dad with 2 daughters, and I had a daughter who did play some games sometimes, I made sure. Did I think she was mature enough to handle the mature games? Yeah, she was, because she knew the difference between reality and fantasy, and she knew the difference between right and wrong. But I just made sure the language filter was on because I wanted her to enjoy the game and not worry about me coming in and shutting off the TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's mostly why I did it, because I did understand she was going to hear the language, and I even heard her using it a couple times on the phone, and I busted it a little ass over it. But, I also want them to be able to – I enjoy video games. So I think that video games are very useful, and I think they're good. And, I wanted her to enjoy them. So
I learned it from watching you.
I learned it from watching you, Dad. The more you know, people. The more you know.
Next bit of news, since we got very off track.
Next bit of news.
We were talking about Lego Star Wars. I forgot about that.
We were, yes. I apologize.
Oh, no,
but
we're good.
You mentioned something that made me think of something I wanted to talk to you about, and it just, I felt very passionate about it.
No, because I don't have topics for this episode. I was trying to think of topics we could talk about. So since it's mostly going to be news, if you think of a topic, I don't care if we go dive into that real quick.
Okay.
That's fine with me. It's good. We got filler.
Yes, we do. We have content, ladies and gentlemen. We have content.
Content.
Anyway.
Next piece of news.
Next piece of news.
So in the UK, there's the big lawsuit about the loot boxes and banning them, and EA is involved.
Yes.
A recent turn of events was
a bit of comedy for your listeners.
Yeah. EA's lawyers stopped referring to loot boxes as loot boxes because they thought there was a stigma with that word. And it made it sound like it was treasure that you were paying for random, monetary gain. So they changed the name of loot boxes. In the court case, they only started referring to it as surprise mechanics.
Yep.
And they just kept saying it. And then the judge had to point out that he had no idea what they were talking about because, up until that point, everybody was calling it loot boxes. And then randomly EA's lawyers start saying surprise mechanics. And everyone in the room's like, so what are we talking about?
You are going to see this. You are going to see this start to happen everywhere. Okay? Because... all right, and I'm not saying this to offend anyone, okay? I'm saying this to make a point, and I hope that our listeners are intelligent enough to understand that. I think that they are. I think that they know that when we discuss something, we're just trying to make a point, okay? You're going to go from loot boxes to surprise mechanics, and eventually all these games are going to go this way. And the reason why is because
she's a lady of the night.
Exactly. It's going to be, it's almost like the PC crap is hitting the games, because what's happening is you have this lawsuit, or this senator that we talked about a few podcasts ago, who is trying to ban loot boxes. Okay, well, fine. We're not going to call them loot boxes anymore. We're going to call them surprise mechanics. So that's probably going to happen everywhere. And all these companies are going to jump on board and they're going to start calling them surprise mechanics. You know, because it's random generated trophies or wins, or prizes. So it's going to be, RNG. They're going to say it's all RNG and it's surprise mechanics and it's random how you get them and yada, yada, yada. Well, guess what, folks? That's not what it is. It's loot boxes. That's the bottom line. It is what it is. Is this lawsuit that the senator is trying to do going to make it any different? No. But it's basically the British are getting ahead of the curve and they're getting ahead of the game because they've already been started with this lawsuit, and then the senator is going to jump in the U.S. and going to try to take over these other companies here.
The senator is going to come up in the U.S. and say that he's, U.S. senators such and such against loot boxes in the American gaming industry, and everyone's going to be like, "What's a loot box? We don't have those."
Nope, we have surprise mechanics.
What are you talking
sir.
about? We have surprise mechanics.
You know what? I'm going to create a meme. I'm going to create a meme of this senator where the reporter's asking him, "Hey, where'd you get that suit?" And he goes, "A loot box."
Surprise!
Surprise mechanics, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, that's my whole spin on it.
I don't think the surprise mechanics is going to fly.
Neither do I.
I think if they do have to be if they do have to be completely literal and honest with what they're presenting, because I think that's the whole thing of the case, is they want the consumer to know that they are spending money on something that is randomized. That is
cosmetic. Yeah.
Yeah, and they also want...
You want to beat the RNG, then here, you can just buy the skin outright. And that's how it should be. It shouldn't be just, hey, sell me a bunch of loot boxes and I might get what I'm trying to purchase. No.
Right. And the thing is, surprise mechanics is kind of implying that it changes gameplay.
Yes.
Like, surprise mechanics is maybe just an EA problem. Most people just do cosmetic problems.
And I don't think that it, I was being sarcastic when I said that, because I'm like, okay, you expect all these other companies are going to jump on board with this because it's a ploy is what it is. They're hoping that because of that lawsuit with the senator, and because of all these parents jumping in saying, hey, our kids are spending our money on these loot boxes, that by changing the name, you're going to be able to change the battle. And you're not. These other companies aren't going to jump on board.
Here's the thing: is you can't just...
They're not going to say it's surprise mechanics because they are loot boxes. You earn loot boxes.
Right. So it doesn't matter if you directly explain what's in the box. So if you even said it's randomized cosmetics, okay, do I have to pay for it or do I earn it? Okay, well, we'll call it rewarded cosmetics. Well, you could also pay for it. So is it really just a reward? And then what are you going to say? So I feel like the only thing that they can actually call it if they can still have loot boxes, the only thing they can call it is if the name contains the fact that you're paying for it.
Well, there is a way around it.
Something like monetary EA donation or something.
There is an actual way around it for all these gaming companies. And it's really very simple. Earn the loot boxes and then open your store and say, you can purchase skins. Don't put it as you earn the loot box or you buy the loot box and you might get the skin, because here's the thing. That's what's pissing people off, is because these kids are buying hundreds of loot boxes only for the chance of maybe 0.03% of getting that skin that they want. Well, it's really not right. Does it generate a lot of money? Yeah. Is it capitalism at its finest? Yeah. I mean, they're making money, that's what they're doing. They're selling a product and they're selling you a chance, but the fact that it feels a little bit like gambling is what started this whole ruckus, what started this whole uproar. So if they say, okay, you earn loot boxes when you're playing the game. So everybody who plays, guess what? You earn these random loot boxes who give you a random chance at generating the loot that you want. But just put it plain and
Right.
simple on the store and say you have the option of buying the skin. It's nothing that's going to make the game better. It's nothing that's going to give you an edge. It just makes you look pretty. So
Right.
just put
And the
that
thing
on
is,
there and let the
ma-
parents be the ones who have to watch the damn credit cards. Don't put yourself in the position to where you have to be a babysitter and a game provider.
You're right. So it'd have to be a markup. So it would have to be.
Yes.
They would still have to have the loot boxes be the cheapest way to get a skin or a cosmetic that is really expensive, but
But
also
just make it
gives
harder
them
to
the
earn in the
ability-
game.
Right.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah,
but
I hear what
continue.
you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But the main argument that is going against the opposition to loot boxes is that we've been selling trading cards for 20, 30 years.
Yes.
And that's what they are. They're random packs of stuff.
They really are.
But the main thing that people are saying is different is online is way more convenient and so much easier to not realize how much you're spending. Well,
And that's the problem
true.
that parents have. Yeah.
And it's like, well, true, but I mean, just don't give them your credit card
Or don't give them the damn password
yeah,
to the account to be able to go to the store.
Yeah, but in the same sense, you can't steal loot boxes, but you can steal trading cards. So I mean, it goes both ways.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, but I honestly
the thing
think
is,
there's
kids
an
get
easy
addicted
fix.
to loot boxes, and they end up getting a gambling, money spending addiction. But
Which
kids that
becomes
got
a
addicted
gaming
back in
addiction. Remember,
Right,
it's a
but
gaming
back in-
addiction now.
oh my god, but kids back in my day got addicted to trading cards, and then they got very quickly addicted to shoplifting.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
like, I don't know, it's one or the other. So it's
I knew a
if
guy
you do
who-
trading
who-
cards.
I knew a guy who collected cards and sold them. And when he ended up not having the money to feed his addiction, this dude would write hot checks and get boxes and boxes of trading cards, hoping that he would get that one or two that would sell for $2,000 or $3,000. And he actually made out okay. He did pretty good, but he was doing it illegally, you know. And it did create that addiction that he had, you know.
Right. So I'm saying, I don't know. The people that bring up the trading card argument is bringing up a pretty bad argument because
Oh, I agree.
they're
I
just
don't
as
think-
bad.
It's apples and oranges, dude. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
But what were we talking about? Were we talking?
We were talking
oh,
about
yeah.
renaming loot boxes to surprise mechanics.
Yeah, that's it. That was the whole piece of news. That was it, everyone.
And I went off on my tangent about, hey, there's a way to solve the problem.
We should, after every 2-hour episode, we should have a 10-minute episode, which is me just reading the bulletin, the bullet points, and being like, and that's straight to the news.
This is what we meant to talk about.
There was a couple of weeks ago, there was like a good 2 or 3 things we didn't get to, and I don't even remember what they were. But it's old news now, so nobody cares. Next piece of news is kind of quietly,
Yes.
Microsoft's 2 consoles that they were in development on. They were codenamed Lockhart and Anaconda. Apparently, there's just one because at E3, whenever they were talking about console, they were just talking about Scarlet. And so I don't know which one this was. Everyone thought Anaconda was going to be like a premium version, and Lockhart was going to be the intro version. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago where I was saying that when they said that the Xbox Scarlet, whatever it's going to be called, was going to have a disk drive, I was saying that I hoped it launched with 2 different versions, one without a disk drive and one with a disk drive. And in another sense, it'd be nice if it launched with one with a disk drive and one with a disk drive, but also supports 8K and whatever the fanciest thing is in a couple of years. It'd be nice if there was a premium one and a downgraded one. Because here's the
My
thing that's going to
understanding
happen.
is there is one with 8K. I honestly think they're going to do exactly what you're saying. They're going to make way more money that way.
I think they're trying to not scare people because
Yes.
they keep saying that there's one console. They keep saying they're saying safe stuff. They're getting really safe when they're talking about it. And I think it all has to do with the debacle launch of Xbox One.
Yeah.
But
You're probably right.
I really hope that they're just hiding the fact that there's actually going to be multiples. Because here's the thing. The PS4 was cheaper than the Xbox One. And it sold better. The Xbox 360 was cheaper than the PS3. And Xbox 360 sold better.
Yeah.
So as much as we talk about who's the most powerful system, who's got the most powerful system, nobody wants that. They want the cheapest system.
Exactly. Because everybody wants it. And if everybody can't have it, then everybody's not going to love it.
Right, because people say that the number one thing that people want is they want bragging rights, the most powerful system, the strongest system, the best system to play games on. But money talks and money's sparse and people don't spend it. So
people are careful with their cash right now.
Yeah, and the thing is, Xbox will not be on top next gen if they come out with a $600 console and the PS5 is $500.
Yes. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. They do need to have like a 400 or less version, and then have your supersonic version, man.
Right, because that's the thing is,
if I want the 8K and I want the the solid state drive and everything else, if I want all the good shit, then I'm willing to pay 600 plus. I'm willing to pay for that if that's what I want. But if all I want is a regular Xbox, the next gen gaming system, then dude, don't rob me blind in an alley, bro. Just give me what I want, and then, make the extra, boosty version for the rich people.
Right. So let's say there's these stats. Let's say that, we know that the PS5 is going to have 8K. We know it's going to have the Dolby Atmos in it. We know it's going to have a solid state drive in it. And it's going to probably have a disk drive if Xbox is having a disk drive. So let's just assume it's going to have that. Yeah. And let's say it's a 2 terabyte in 2020 starting out. 2 terabytes is probably going to be the starting level of storage.
Probably right.
Let's say that brand new spanking new system launches while the PS4 is still sellable at $400 for a PS4 Pro and $300 for the regular PS4. So let's say that the PS5 launches at $500. That seems reasonable, right?
That's reasonable. Yeah.
It should launch at $400, but I'm not sure if with inflation we can ever have a $400 system again on launch. Maybe after 6 months or a year, like the next Christmas season, maybe $400.
Yeah,
but
I can see that.
I'm not sure if we're able to launch a system at $400 anymore. That's a lot of people are saying that it needs to be, but I think we'd run the risk of having a console that's not actually next gen ready. Yeah. So let's say it's 500. If Microsoft wants to be on top, their only business model that they can do is do the Xbox One X angle, which is it's just a tad bit better than a PS4 Pro in every sense, just so that they can say it's the most powerful system. That one could be 600. That's fine. But then they need to sell one that is equal in stats to the PS5, $50 to $100 cheaper. They need to sell it at a loss just to be the cheapest on the market, but then they also get the good press from the one that they didn't even manufacture that many of. See, that's the biggest thing.
I don't think it would be a loss for them. If they did it right, and sold it just at a smidge cheaper, then it would get bought up.
I think the only hope for Microsoft next gen is selling the base console at cost and then having a premium edition console that just makes the media. Because that's the thing that will kill you in the gaming industry is people saying that your system is like crap or that it's not as powerful. Like these big trigger words that don't really mean that much. Because I don't have any more fun on an Xbox One X than someone does on an Xbox One or One S. You know,
you're
like
right.
The difference is so nominal.
I have a One,
the stats
and
are
Christine
ridiculous.
has an S. I have a One, and my wife has an S, and I really don't notice a difference.
Yeah, See, I think the difference between the S and the 1 is bigger than the X and the S. I think the S is a little bit smoother on moving between stuff. But I mean, just like a computer, one console right beside the exact same console, one of them will wear out quicker.
That's true.
It's just like a computer.
Yeah. You're right.
I don't even know what we were
Absolutely right.
talking about.
We were talking about
The code names that it's
Lockhart
supposedly
and
one
Anaconda.
system. Yeah. I think they have to have two systems, and I think they have to have a ridiculously powerful system just for good press,
Yeah.
even if
You're absolutely
nobody
right.
buys it. And I think they've been trying that because currently Xbox has 3 Xboxes on the market that are being manufactured. They have a One X, the One S, and the One S all digital. So
Yeah.
they're manufacturing 3 different consoles. That's crazy. Of course, the One S all digital is not really a different console. They literally just took the drive out and then put a piece of plastic over the. They just didn't cut the hole where the disc goes in. That's all it is. But yeah, I think they have to have 2 systems. I know that they have said in interviews that there's only one, but they have to be both the cheapest and the most powerful, and you can't do that with one system because the other developer will just outbid you for the lowest price.
Yeah.
But they can't do that if you also have the most powerful in the market. So they need to make something that is ridiculously powerful that they don't even expect people to buy. They need that thing that's like, this is for the boutiques,
Yeah. No, I get you. It makes perfect sense, man.
Okay. Well, that's all I had in news. I know you picked up some stories. What did you have to talk about?
Well, one of the first things that I want to tell you about is League of Legends. A lot of people
Lol.
may have heard. Yeah, lol. Basically, okay, let's talk a little back history. We're going to start with League of Legends. But we all know that the U.S. has had issues with Iran and Syria. And recently, President Trump has put some sanctions against Iran, and some of them are hitting pretty hard. He just recently put some more against them, and Iran is actually sliding towards a recession right now. Back in 2015, there was a deal that they made, and they would limit their nuclear activities. However, they haven't been doing that. So, in a nutshell, the U.S. put sanctions against them. So, what Iran and Syria, Iran's biggest ally, by the way, Iran and Syria have decided to come out, and they said that League of Legends, Riot Games, U.S.-based company, is banned in Iran and Syria due to U.S. laws and regulations. And the official forums on the game said that due to U.S. laws and regulations, players in your country cannot access League of Legends at this time. Such restrictions are subject to change by the U.S. government. So if and when that happens, we will look forward to having you back on the Rift. And so basically, if you go to a bunch of different forums, you can check it out everywhere, man. Everybody's going to go to Reddit or whatever. Those are
there
the
a
only
lot
two
of
countries.
players in those countries?
There's quite a few, actually. There's quite a few that actually do play, but the whole point of it is that Iran and Syria are trying to make a point. They're trying to make it seem like, well, it's the U.S.'s fault that you can't play. Well, guess what?
It must
Players
be a
have
lot of
been
people
using-
then, because that seems like a real petty thing to
yeah.
bring up.
It's kind of petty. It really is. But players have been using VPNs to get around the ban.
Oh my God, it's pretty easy.
But they're playing, they have to play with a higher ping, but they don't care. They don't care.
It beats
Riot-
not playing. Yeah.
Riot hasn't actually talked about it, but any more than their first statement. But it isn't unusual because the same thing happened with Origin. They're not available over there because of U.S. embargoes and sanction laws. And So people can't buy from the stores. They can't, North Korea, Iran, Syria, they just can't buy from the Epic Games website. They can't play the games. So yeah, that's basically what's happening with League of Legends, Riot Games, Epic Games, and Origin. It's Iran and Syria are pissed off about these sanctions that are against them, but the sanctions are.
It's the best time to own a VPN.
Exactly. You're going to make some money. But yeah, so that's what's going on there. Just a quick little thing to kind of, wet your noodle, maybe discuss it. I don't know how people think about it or feel about it. I know some people are pissed off because they feel that the Iranian people are suffering, in a poverty because of this. But I don't know. It's
I mean, there's bigger issues. A video game. There's bigger issues than League of Legends in Iran and Syria, I'm sure. But it is really funny that he was like picked out of a million things that they could do, Yeah. But they also picked something that was so easily avoided. VPNs are like really easy to use, and I'm sure some of those people probably don't even lose much ping. I doubt
it's
Iran
just a
and
bunch
Syria
of
have
propaganda.
much of a internet connection.
You're probably right.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not too much different using a VPN. It's probably just literally flipping a switch, and it's probably almost the same experience.
Yeah. You're probably right. So, yep, that's what I got on that. Here's a fun little piece, though, for you. Have you ever heard of a gentleman by the name of Tyler Blevins?
No.
He's also known as Ninja. Plays Fortnite.
Ninja.
He's a big old streamer, the Ninja.
My God, I love him. He invented blue hair, right?
Oh yeah, yes. Well, bluish aquamarine. I don't know. I'm looking at a picture of it. I don't know what color it is.
Why are you staring?
It looks
at a
like
picture
something
of
you might throw up after a rave. Just because it's getting me in the mood to talk about this because I just love this story.
Dude.
Yeah, a good-looking dude who is not going to be involved in the Fortnite World Cup because he has failed to qualify. Yeah, that's right. Mr. Fortnite has failed to qualify for the Fortnite World Cup. He finished with 64 points, 25 shy of what he needed, along with his partner, Reverse 2K, to compete in the World Cup finals. So he didn't stream his gameplay, but he did go on Twitter and let his millions of followers know that he lost and he would not be playing in the World Cup. So in the World Cup finals, by the way, let's see, it says 64 points with my boy at Reverse 2K. We didn't qualify, but if you guys saw our start, LOL, 15 points, 4 games in, and then we turned it up. I will be at the World Cup in New York City no matter what, though, and thank you at Fortnite Games for the opportunity.
At least he's being a good sport about it. At least he's not he wasn't saying that people are like cheating or something. Pants.
I'm just laughing because this guy is Mr. Fortnite, man. When you talk about Fortnite, you talk about Ninja. You really do. And it's just crazy that this guy is not going to be in the World Cup. You're talking about a $30 million prize pool, bro. A $30 million prize pool, and this guy is not going to be involved in it.
That's crazy.
This guy made.
Is Lick-U going to be there? I mean, F-U?
TFU? That I don't know.
Tufu.
Tufu?
Tifu.
Tifu? I'm not sure, man. I haven't heard anything about Tifu lately. I've been looking into that, and I haven't heard anything about what's going on with him. I think that's they're waiting.
See, I'd like to know if he made
the trial to happen. Yeah, he may not be going because of the trial.
You think he may be not allowed to play?
That might be. That might be. I'll have to look into it and get back to you on the next stream. This guy, Ninja, this guy made $10 million last year playing Fortnite, almost $10 million. And, I don't think it's going to bother him too much that he's, not able to make, a cut of that. Well, it would bother me. I mean, that's $30 million.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot of fucking money, man. But yeah, you tickets are unavailable. They're sold out. It's July 26th and 28th in New York at the Arthur Ashe Stadium. The only way you can watch it right now is online. So if you guys want to watch the Fortnite World Cup, that's July 26th through the 28th. So check it out. But unfortunately, Ninja won't be there. So
it's crazy to see those World Cup pros play.
Oh, dude,
it's
they're
so hard to
awesome.
even see what they're even doing.
I
Their,
love
eyes are
watching
moving
the
so
Fortnite,
fast.
the Overwatch League. I love watching that on TV. Mm-hmm. It's just so intense and so clear. And I mean, me personally, I watch what these pros are doing because I would like to play a little bit better. I'm never going to be a pro. I mean, come on, I got old hands and whatnot, and it just ain't going to happen. So I do like watching the Overwatch League on. I can't remember what channel it's on, man, but it is
ESPN,
so cool
actually.
to watch. Yeah, that's one of them. I think that it slips over to another one too. I want to say Fox Sports 1 or something. But either way, it's just a lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch. But speaking of fun games to watch, by the way, you guys are going to have a chance to do that here coming up this week when I download and play John Wick Hex. I've been watching a lot of gameplay on this, and it turns you into a cold-blooded killer, man. It is a cool-looking game, really groovy art style. Kind of reminds me of Borderlands. It's a very comic book, solid color kind of thing, and it's just really cool. But you are able to strategically plan your moves to be a John Wick badass when you go around that corner and you got to kill those 6 or 7 people. It's fast moving, it's fast paced, and you get to these situations and you're able to decide, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then you see if it works. Yeah, it's
That's
really,
cool.
really cool.
So it's kind of like the newer Sherlock Holmes where he plans out everything he does.
Yeah, it's
before he
based
does
around it's based around time. You plan out your strategy in advance, and then you watch it as it unfolds in real
That's
time.
really cool, actually.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this, playing this game. It's filled with basically every decision you make affects the game. How you get a shot off, or how you fight in melee, or what's gonna be quicker, what's gonna be more effective. How you move after you take that shot. Do you roll left or right or back? It all depends on what you do. So, yeah, I'm very, very much looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I don't want to review it too much because I haven't played it. I just want to tell you based on what I've seen and what I know about the game so far. So, I'm really looking forward to it.
And the thing is, I like that it has more of an indie game style approach for a franchise that's so on the top of the world right now. The franchise is like the most popular it's ever been. And
you're absolutely right on that.
Yeah, and it could just be another shooter that's a dime a dozen and you forget about it in a couple of months, And
I don't think it's going to be like that, though.
Yeah, they're trying to make a game that's different. And that's what I like about it.
Well, what's 100% different isn't just the fact that you decide you decide your moves before you make them. It's strategic, in other words, but also that the developers they had complete access to the director of the John Wick movies, the stunt coordinators, and some of the other people involved with the scenes. In order to decide how to make the game, and it has kind of like it has where you don't know everything. You don't know where all the enemies are unless they're in close range. The other enemies are out of your sight. You're not able to sense everything that's going on around you. Only, you kind of take a peek and you're like, okay, this is what I need to do from here, here, and here. and I think it's going to be a very interesting and very well thought out game. I'm looking forward to playing it. They don't have a release date, but they do have early access. So that's what I'm going to jump in on, and I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check if I'm able to stream it. If I'm not, then fine, but I will be giving you a full impression of it in the next podcast.
Sweet.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like it just seems like a really well done game.
I'm sorry, I wasn't laughing at what you were saying earlier.
Oh, I know.
You said that the makers of it had a direct access with the director and stunt people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just was laughing at the phrase direct access. We say that
I gotcha.
You've been given, like, what were they given his phone number? Or like, was he given a map of the stars or something? Like, do they?
No, these, from my understanding, from what I read, I just tried to cut it short. But from what I read, and I see what you're meaning.
But we say that it's like a phrase we use, direct access. Like, what does
like
that
it
mean?
means something big.
By
Yeah.
leaving my door unlocked.
But they actually had the guys in the studio when they were showing them the options that they had to fight, and it came from the movie people when they said, look, you should make it to where he doesn't know how many people are around that corner until he gets close enough.
So that's
so
cool.
Then he can make his decisions. Yeah, it's not going to be easy at all.
I like that it's trying to do things different, and I haven't seen any gameplay on it, but I'm excited to watch your stream on it.
There is a game out that is, oh man, I can't remember it. It's like Devious Bastards or something. It's kind of the same cartoon style. It reminds me of the Borderlands or the Team Fortress cartoony, but it's more of the outline with the dark color, the almost like comic book kind of style or graphic novel style.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. So it's not quite Borderlands, but it's damn close, and it just looks really, really cool. I'm very excited to see that. Speaking of cool and some excitement, guys, September 19th, 2019, guess what's coming, baby? Sega Genesis Mini. 16-bit video game entertainment system. It has over 40 of the legendary games that you remember playing on Sega, and it's ready to plug and play. It comes out September 19th, like I said. I'm totally freaking excited for this. It includes 2 classic wired 3-button control pads. Ooh. And yeah, dude, nice. This thing looks really cool, man. It looks really cool. And it's got the directional D-pad. It's got the 3 buttons. One of them's a trigger. It's got the start button. Very simple control. But you get 2 of them, which is even better. You get a USB power adapter, a power cable, HDMI cable, and the console. So, I mean, you're getting quite a bit. It's $80, $79.99, guys.
That's the
you
same
can save
price
this
as
up before September.
That's the same price as the Super Nintendo was, and it came with 2 controllers.
Yes.
So it looks like they decided to copy that rather than copy Sony's $100 piece of crap.
And what's cool, though, is they've revamped it a little bit to where it's HD. So these legendary games basically they're all 16-bit cartridges. So the ones you used to play, like Sonic the Hedgehog and Echo the Dolphin, Altered Beast, all these games are going to have...
Echo the Dolphin, oh my God.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I'm actually excited for Echo, man. And Sonic the Hedgehog, dude, man, I can't even explain.
How many
it.
Sonics does it come with? I assume it's going to come with a lot because that's the selling point of the consoles.
Just from the page that I was looking at that was showing all the different games, I saw
the first 4 probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 4 right off the bat. It even comes with the old Tetris, bro. The old Tetris. Tetris and Darius are the 2 bonus titles that you get with this game.
That's awesome.
It's absolutely amazing. I mean, Virtua Fighter 2. Dude, wow. There's a ton of games that you get to play with this that you grew up playing, that you love. So
how many titles was it again?
There's 42 titles. It says it includes 40 games, but there's also 2 bonus titles. That's almost twice as much as these other retro consoles that came out have. So you're getting a bigger bang for the buck, and you're getting the one that you always wanted. I remember having my Sega Genesis. I remember having my Sega console and playing golf and Sonic, and all these fun games, man. So I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be something I'm definitely going to buy. I'm going to add it to my stream. I'm going to add it to my gameplay. And yeah, man, I'll definitely be reporting on it once I buy it in September and have played it. It just looks like a really basic piece of machinery,
it's
but
their
it just
flagship.
looks hella fun. Yeah, yeah. They know what they're doing.
It's the Sega console, you know.
It's
like no one cares about the Saturn.
too.
No one cares about Dreamcast, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's awesome. Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah.
Do you remember those ads?
Yeah, baby. Yes, I do.
I played them all the time. Sega does what Nintendo don't.
I'm just excited about playing all these games again, man. I just can't wait. It's going to be awesome. So, hey, man, have you played any new games this week? Have you done anything like that?
Yeah. I feel so awkward that we're in this part. Oh, I should have just jumped into what we were playing earlier because I just jumped into news without even asking you how you were doing.
Oh, man, it doesn't matter. You're good.
By the way, I'm doing fine.
Awesome. I'm sorry I didn't ask.
No, you didn't have to. I knew you knew me well enough to know I'm doing fine.
I was sitting there. I was wondering, how is Josiah doing?
Well, he's still breathing and talking.
We're good.
Anyway, I played a couple of games this week from Game Pass. They're older titles. One of them came out, I believe, early last year. It was a game that a lot of people reviewed first when it came out, and then everybody forgot about it because it's not a main publisher line. It's not a first-party game.
Yeah.
It was called Vampire, and it's actually, from what I've played, it's pretty decent. It's a third person, and you walk around, and you have kind of like Arkham Knight style / Last of Us ability to see through walls and things, where you can find people. And basically what it is you play as a vampire, and you don't know why you're a vampire. And to survive, you have to suck people's blood, but you're also the protagonist, so you don't want to kill innocent people. So you try to make your choices so that you can still survive, but also you don't want to out yourself as a vampire. So it's interesting. And it's also, on top of all of that, it's a mystery. So you talk to people and get clues onto what is going on, because so far all it's about is trying to figure out why you're a vampire. And
so is it based on the decisions that you make?
Supposedly, it says that there's big consequences. I don't know if that's true or not, though. But I know I'm describing a game that doesn't sound like a fighting game, but it does have pretty intense fighting mechanics. I'm playing it on the regular version, and I have to really make sure that I'm doing everything timed right, because health is kind of sparse in the sense of, if you don't remember to suck people's blood, you don't keep your health. So it's interesting.
Being immortal can be a bitch.
Actually, the funniest irony of the game is that the guy who you wake up as at the beginning of the game as a vampire, and you don't know why you're a vampire, his old occupation before he was a vampire was a blood transfusionist.
Oh, wow.
Of all
so he
the
got
freaking
attacked
jobs,
by somebody who came to the blood bank in order to steal some blood.
I don't know.
And he got attacked.
It's also set back. It's also set back in like Jack the Ripper kind of era. So it's like a bunch of famine and stuff. So there's a bunch of people that are already dying. So it gives this atmosphere of if you killed people,
they don't need their blood.
They may not know, you know.
Yeah, they don't need their blood.
So there's interesting mechanics to it. You can also eat rats to take their blood if you're really low.
Shit.
And the first time you do it, he's like, I can't believe I've stooped down to this level, eating rats. And then you just do it for the rest of the game, and he never comments on it. So he gets over it really quick. He's like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And then it's like,
steak.
But I'll let you know. I'll play it more. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I might check that out, man.
It's a pretty decent game for what I've played so far. The other random game I played this week, it was called Supermarket Shriek, and I don't suggest it to anyone unless you can play it somewhere for free. It is ridiculously simple. It's not a terrible game. It's just a simple idea for a game. Basically, what it involves is a man and a goat in a shopping cart, and the goat screams and makes it turn left, and the man screams and makes it turn right, and you just make them scream to navigate the shopping cart.
Ah, okay.
And that is the whole concept of the game.
Okay, then.
So there's a bunch of like levels where you race through areas and you have to avoid like pitfalls and axes and spikes and all sorts of stuff, all while you and a goat are screaming in a shopping basket.
Oh my God.
It sounds like a mobile game, but it actually has decent textures and stuff to it. So I'm assuming it was probably launched on Steam. It looks like a Steam indie title that made its way over to Xbox.
Oh wow.
Because
insane.
I mean it's HD, so it's ridiculous that it's HD. But it's a good chuckle. If you wanted to stream it, it is on Game Pass. It's a good chuckle.
I might have to check it out.
But
I'm definitely thinking about checking out Vampire, though. Actually, yeah, I did. Actually, there's a game that I've been looking at playing for a long time. I didn't play it just because I thought it was... When I first saw the videos, I was like, man, that looks stupid, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I started watching gameplay of it, and I just became enamored with the art style of
beautiful.
the game itself.
Yeah.
It's called Cuphead, yeah. It's that 1930s cartoony Disney, you know, kind of
Steamboat Willie.
Yeah,
era.
Steamboat Willie kind of stuff. Yeah, and the music is the same. The music actually, to be honest with you, the music in the game reminds me of, because I'm a big Family Guy fan, and it reminds me of when Peter was doing his flashbacks to his old comedic relative from the day, Black Eye Willie or whatever, who did the silent movies. And the music kind of reminds me of that. And when you lose, you definitely do lose. And it's
it kind of has like a cabaret kind of feel.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the hand-drawn
is it like piano or something?
Cell art. What?
No, the music. Is it like piano?
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like it's that piano-ish, the little oboes and stuff. It's very
so cool.
1930s music too. Yeah, it's very cool. I love it. I suck at it, but I absolutely love the game. I haven't passed any of the levels yet because it does have a reputation for being very difficult.
Yeah,
but it's not impossible. It's not like crazy punishing or anything like that. It's just a hard game, and you have to use your brain. You have to be willing to learn. You have to have patience, and you do need good reflexes because it does take some moving around. But
sounds like a terrible game for me. I'm very bad with patience and skill.
Well, you might be bad with the beginning of it because it's, you know, an adorable little teacup that makes a deal with the devil. So, yeah, you may not like that part of it because you have to go around collecting souls for the devil in order to get out of the deal that you made with him.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, that's what it's all about. And you can play single, or you can play with a friend in local co-op. And you basically, it's a 2D, you know, platformer. You just kind of just roll down the thing and kill the enemies and jump over stuff, and then you go to the boss fights. The boss fights really aren't that long. Each boss is around 2-3 minutes, something like that. But
that
they
feels
make them
long,
like that.
2-3 minutes.
They're not really that long.
Okay,
is what I'm saying. But it feels good that way because you will lose a lot. So you want to keep going back. So it's not so annoying going back just because of the fact that it's only a 2 to 3 minute fight. There are patterns to it, just like in the old Pac-Man games. So it takes some memorization, it takes some skill, you know, jumping around and whatnot. But it isn't impossible. I want to keep re-emphasizing that because it does have a bad reputation for being hard to beat, and that's what kind of pissed a lot of people off when I was reading some of the forums on it and some of the comments. But all you got
that's
to do
the
is
thing,
just be patient.
It was a Kickstarter or something like that, I believe, and the creators of it apparently wanted to pay two homages, one to 1930s animation because it never had been duplicated into a video game format, and number two,
Yeah.
they wanted to pay homage to old 80s video games that were very hard and not forgiving,
Yeah.
and they just put those two things together and made a really successful product. And some people just can't deal with the intensity of the learning curve,
Yeah. No, and apparently, from what I understand, because I haven't dug too deep into it, because I don't want any spoilers. I want to be able to play the game and have fun with it. But it reminds you of what old boss fights at the end of it used to be about, because there's gauntlets of bosses that you have to go through, and then from what I understand, the last fight is like fighting the entire fucking game. So it takes a little bit of work, but the soundtrack and the visualizations, it really makes you stay into the game. And the boss fights are basically, you get used to it and you're just like, okay, I need to do this next time, or I need to do this. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
And you can play it in your Tesla now.
Yes, you can actually. You can play it in the new Tesla, and that's the funny part, is because almost everything that I read, talks about how difficult it is, and some people have said it's even cruel because they haven't been able to beat it. But it's really not impossible. All you got to do is just keep trying. It makes you feel good when you play it. You have a great time when you play it. I didn't even get triggered, even though I haven't beaten a single level in all three of the levels that I tried to play. I haven't beaten a single one. I've come damn close, and I've been like, God dang it, but it doesn't make you feel like you don't want to come back. So I recommend playing the game. I had a lot of fun doing it. I love the visuals. I love the music. It kept me 100% into it and entertained. I'm definitely going to go back and play it again. I might even play it a little bit tonight.
Sounds good.
Yep.
I definitely want to check it out. I don't know why I haven't gotten it yet. I do want to check it out sometime because it looks like a game that I'd really enjoy.
I think you would, honestly.
I'm sure I wouldn't be any better than you on it.
You might be. I mean, sometimes it takes a second set of eyes. Even when I was playing while I was streaming, I had this one guy, he was trying to help me because he's played it before, and he says, this is what you got to do. And man, I was trying to do that. And he said, yeah, it's still difficult. Even when you know what to do, it's still hard to do it. So that's what I love about it. It's extremely challenging, and it makes you learn, man. It makes you learn the level. It's old school gaming at its best.
Yeah. No, but is that all we have to talk about?
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it, man. We were talking about the
no
new
topics
games we
we
played.
didn't go over. Well, that's it for this episode. We don't really have any more news for this week, but is there anything that you were going to come back with next week? I know you were talking about some games that you're going to play.
Yeah, John Wick Hex. I'm going to play that next week. I plan on downloading that here on my day off. I'm going to give it a run. I understand there's an open beta, so I'm going to check it out. And if I can't stream it, I will definitely let you guys know what it's all about. But it looks like a hell of a lot of fun, so I'm definitely going to try that. I might play a couple other independent or free to play games. I've been getting into those a lot more, and I might even jump on Vampire. You've kind of talked me into that one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely let me know what you think about it. I still want you to play that game that I mentioned last week, that Doctor whatever. I already forgot the name of it. The tiger and the gym and whatever. I forget. I still need to send you the link to that.
Triani's something tiger and the yeah. I'll have to look into that.
And the Cimarron, yeah.
Even though we can't remember the name.
Yeah,
what about you? Do you have anything next week that you're going to talk about, or anything in particular that you're?
No, I'll let you know if I play any new games. I don't really plan out when I'm going to play a new game. I kind of just find a game and then play it. But this is a short episode. We do understand that. We didn't have as much content this week because we just had an episode 4 days ago because we did a late episode. But next week should be packed full of stuff because we'll have a full week of news again.
Oh, yeah.
And we will also be getting guests hopefully pretty soon. And I'm not sure how often we're going to do that. I would love to do it weekly. But starting out, we may not be able to do it weekly, but we're going to be on the lookout. We might have a guest next week, maybe the week after. We'll let you know. Probably post it on our Facebook who we're having on, and y'all can be sure to tune in.
Yeah, it should be a good time. It should be some interesting stuff when we get some people on here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But that's all for this week. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good week.
Have a good week, guys.
Lol.
Yeah, lol.
Lol.
Lol. Don't worry, I'll fix it. You're all my babies.
Lol.